Hi there and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about daily hygiene practices and how best to protect yourself from the coronavirus. Now, of course, hygiene should always be a priority. So whether you're watching this video when the coronavirus is still around, whether it's at full speed, whether it's summer, whether it's winter, all year round, we should always be taking care of our hygiene. I think that if this virus hasn't taught us anything, it has taught us that daily practices such as hand washing and being very careful about our hygiene practices is really very important. Now I'm going to be touching on a lot of tips, tricks and hacks throughout this video. Now some of them might not be applicable to you. So wherever you are right now, whenever you're watching this, wherever in the world you are situated, and whatever your lifestyle looks like right now, I want you to listen to all of the tips and hacks and take away whatever makes sense to you. You, of course, might be at home, you might not be able to leave, the situation might be better, you might be outside, but you still need to be careful. So just take what you need. You're going to hear all sorts of things. I'm going to be talking about travel, I'm going to be talking about going outside, I'm going to be talking about staying home, practices inside and outside the home, so I will leave it up to you. Avoid crowded places. The coronavirus is highly infectious, so you should be careful when you're around people. You should aim to at least be 1 to 2 ideally meters away from the person standing next to you. Traveling. When moving from place to place, the best option is of course to use your car. But if you're using some sort of public transport, of course a taxi is always better than a bus. The best thing to do, and this brings me to point number 3, is to disinfect your space. So what we're doing is we are using sanitizing wipes, and we are just cleaning the seats where we're sitting. And of course also if you're traveling on an airplane, make sure you wipe the tray, you also wipe the armrest, the seat belt is very important. And especially if you're traveling with little kids and they have the window seat, I would suggest that you also wipe the space next to the window seat, and that means the window and the airplane wall and all that space, because children of course are going to be looking outside of the window. Our kids should be prepared. They should know to an extent that we need to be more careful with our hygiene, and we should explain that when we are out of the house we shouldn't be touching all of the objects around us. So we need to educate them because they need to know what they should be doing. And if your kids are very little, it's a very good idea to travel with them using a pushchair. So if you're taking them out of the house, the pushchair is much more hygienic than any space they could sit. So even if you're stopping somewhere, they can sit in their own pushchair. And if you happen to find yourself in an area where maybe there are fewer people than you'd like there to be, you can also pull down the hood. When you're at home, you should regularly and very thoroughly disinfect things which come into contact with our hands on a daily basis, especially when our hands might be a little less than clean. So that could be doorknobs, light switches, doorbells, countertops, remote controls, anything you feel could have come in contact with your hands over and over and maybe needs more cleaning than other stuff. So when you sneeze, and you should teach your kids to do it as well, you should sneeze into your elbow if you do not have a tissue available. If you're using a tissue, make sure that that tissue goes straight into the bin. The tissue should go into the bag, tie it up and discard it whenever possible. It's very hard not to touch your face and not to touch your mouth and not to touch your nose. It's hard for us, let alone for children, but this is something else that we should educate them about. When it comes to hand washing, we should ensure that we are all washing our hands well. So we need to make sure that we are first wetting our hands with water and then applying soap and rubbing our hands very properly, and that means the top part and the bottom part and between the fingers and all of the fingers individually and the wrists, and just lathering them up. Washing your hands real good, at least for 20 or 30 seconds. 30 seconds would be the best. Also make sure that you clean under your fingernails, because that's a spot where all the germs build up. If you have a nail brush, use it. It's great for really making sure that you get all that dirt out from underneath your fingernails. With kids, it's a really good idea to sing a song to make hand washing less tedious. We sing Happy Birthday twice. Nina really enjoys it, and it kind of takes the boredom out of the task as well. And you're making sure that they are washing their hands for the time that they need to be washing them for, because otherwise it just might be a very quick lather and off they go. Sanitizing products. You can use the wipes to wipe any surfaces such as the handlebars for the trolley when you're at the supermarket, or the handles for the trolley basket, and anything else you think that needs a good wipe down. We also have a disinfectant liquid, which I have put into a small spray bottle so we can use it to spray on our hands, and I've also used it in random places such as a public bathroom when I really need to visit one. So I just spray on the handle and wipe it with a tissue. That brings me to the next thing, always carry tissues with you. And also, if you're out and about and you need to throw away tissues and you need to throw away dirty wipes, just take little bags that you can pop all your dirty stuff into, put a little tie on and just stash away. At home we also keep a strong sanitizing wash so that when we come into the home from outside of the house, we use the specific wash to make sure that all the germs go away. When you're doing your errands, it's a good idea to use a credit card instead of cash, because money is really dirty and it carries around a lot of viruses and germs and bacteria, whereas a credit card is something that is your own. You can use it yourself, you can ask the people at the cash point so that you can insert the card yourself, and you can make sure that you can keep it clean. Also, keys and rings. Keys and rings are two things which are usually really dirty. So what I like to do is I like to pop them into bowls of water with sanitizing liquid and hot water and just let them sit for a while, put them in the sun, and I can assure myself that my keys and my rings are sanitized. Be careful with electronics as well, especially mobile phones, because we're carrying them around all day when our hands are dirty. The first thing we do when we come home is I take this sanitizing spray that I spoke about, I spray our phones, yes they're waterproof, and then I just wipe them down with a disposable tissue. Snacks and children. My little one sure loves snacking, and she loves snacking with her hands. This I think was the most challenging of whatever I've been trying to teach her, but what I'm trying to do is if we're heading out of the home, I will give her a snack which she can eat with her hands happily at home, and then pack something in a container with a fork for when we're out of the house. So at least we can avoid having Nina eat with her hands and we're feeding her with a fork instead, which is so much more hygienic. More hacks for when you're out with kids. I know that kids can be really good 1 minute and then the next minute they just go mental, so I like packing something just to keep them quiet if I'm in a space which is kind of a little bit dirty or I just want to be really careful. Lollipops are the perfect example. Whilst not so healthy, they are actually a great option to fall back on. Let's say if you're in an airport and you are waiting to board the plane and there's a queue and you want your child to actually sit in the pushchair instead of run around and sit on all of the seats available. If your child starts going wild and running all over the place and you want them to just sit and not touch anything, instead of resorting to a lollipop, you can always play a game. So Nina and I have been playing this game with our hands, and basically she just focuses on the game. I keep her entertained for a little bit, we're laughing about it, and her hands are nowhere else but touching my own. Stay home when you're sick, even if it's not bad, even if you have just a slight cold, just stay home and make sure you also avoid contact with people who are sick. So if anyone is exhibiting any symptoms at all of being sick, just make sure you stay away. Do not wear shoes inside the house. This is something that we never do, but I want to put it out there now even more than ever. Do not bring those germs inside your home. Again, whether it's the coronavirus or it's the flu or it's nothing spectacular, this is extra. You do not need to bring this dirt inside your home. I'm even careful when I bring shopping bags into my house, especially if we're carrying big bags and they've been lying on the pavement or inside the shop and then I bring them home. So what I usually do is I sit the bags down in a specific corner of the house, I unpack them, I pack the bags, and then I also wipe the bottom of the bags and I wipe the floor with disinfectant as well. Use an air purifier inside your home. It really helps with cleaning the air. It cleans the air of viruses, bacteria, all sorts of germs, dust mites, dust, food odors, pet dander, allergens, pollen, you name it. Keep yourself and your family healthy. This is the best way to prevent getting sick, coronavirus or no coronavirus. We should all be eating our greens, our fruit, taking supplements. I know with kids it's more difficult to include fruit and vegetable in their diet or proteins, whatever your child is picky about. but you should add supplements to everyone's diet and do your best to make sure that everyone's immune system is in the best condition that it possibly is. If less people are sick, that means that there are less crowds, less queues, and less pressure on the wonderful doctors, nurses, and medical staff doing their best to save lives every single day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep positive. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!